So, ladies, welcome. We're a little bit excited because those of you who joined us last night, it was just absolutely superb where we interviewed Mel Cayley and he went into a whole new realm of what's possible in terms of, we're hearing so much naysaying out there, and it was really good to get someone who is brilliant at forecasting the property future on board and give us that insight that he has in a very unique way because of his military background, his analytical brain, and how he weights facts and data. And so any of you that missed that, who weren't able to be there last night, we actually have that recorded. It'll be going into the members library along with all the other videos that we've created. And so what we can do there is obviously have you join us and if you're seeing things happening on the screen, it's okay. We're still here. We're just doing a little bit of sorting in the background, and Becca's just shaking her head. So we'll get this sorted. But in the meantime, let's talk about abundant mindset, and nothing says it better than what we were talking about last night. We were asked the question, both Mel and I, by someone in the audience of our 68 people that were online with us. And the question was, what are we seeing in terms of the future in sales? And for me, I responded with this. In my world, you can either come from a place of fear or faith. And so what we're seeing is that those that have faith are still moving forward, and they're absolutely just putting one foot in front of the other, going forward, knowing that we're going to come out the other side of this, knowing that this too shall pass. Obviously, we're wiser, and this is not to undermine the fact that people's lives are at risk and there's people ill and dying. And please do not take it on board that that's any part of this conversation, because I totally respect that that's happening and that we need to respect that. But what I'm saying is that I have lots of conversations with lots of different people in this industry. So, for example, yesterday I was talking to the architect that we've used on Luana project and said to them, what are you finding in the marketplace? And like us, he said, well, it's really interesting. He's got 2 clients down on the Gold Coast who both are in the industry of over 55s, so retirement village type of setups. He said he had one of the clients put their foot on the brake and they said, hold everything. The other client said, press on, we're doing this, we're going for it. They had their first sales last weekend and sold 30 of those apartments in that weekend. Now, it's mindset that held one back and the other to go forward. And that's what we're talking about. It's what is your mindset? What is your default position? And often your persona and what you're putting out there in the front face and behind the mask isn't necessarily what's happening in the background. And what we want to do is create awareness around that. We have to be aware of what our real thoughts are. We have to be able to catch ourselves, our little monkey mind that talks to us all the time in the background, and you don't even know sometimes it's happening, and you've got to be able to catch it, you've got to be able to change it. So last week I went through 10 steps that I refer to as building an abundant mindset. If you didn't see that, again, it's out there on Video Land. It's actually on YouTube, I believe. So it's easy to look up. If you have any questions, just admin@wowpropertywomen.com.au and Lizzie will respond, give you the link. So I started there and I took you on a bit of a journey of my abundance mindset now, but it came from a real lack, a place where we didn't have anything. That was a scarcity mindset. So for me, there was a lot of challenges and a lot that I had to change. And so with that in mind, what I would like to do now is talk a little bit about how we're going forward. So this week we've got Mary who's coming on board, and we introduced Mary last week. And she's heading up our Adelaide team, which is pretty exciting. And we've had a lot of people join us from all over Australia. We've got Victoria, New South Wales, we've got Western Australia asking if we can start a WOW group over there. We've got, people that already have joined us from Darwin. So it is exciting. But Mary's heading up the Adelaide team. But having said that, she is an actual property coach. And so I've asked Mary and 2 others that we're going to be introducing you to specifically work in the area of coaching for those that want it. Now, it's not, we don't upsell anything here. It's not being a $10,000, $20,000, $30 package that we're putting out there for you to grab. No, it's just if you need it. So if you had problem finding a site. You know, you might need someone to hold hand. This is a do it with you type of offer. So we're going to talk more about that next week. But Mary is one of those coaches. And then the other person we're going to bring on is our lovely Rebecca Ramsay, who has been, I call Becca's, obviously affectionately, has been on this journey right from the start of these Friday morning covers. And Rebecca is a specialist in the area of not just personal development, but business development. Remembering too, property is a business. So business, and I know there's quite a few of you who have taken up her offer, which is fantastic, because you're going to find she's an amazing woman, and her insights, the way she can just naturally dig deeper and help you discover your strengths and make you aware about your weaknesses, and how then you can work with that and resolve it. So what I want to do now is introduce you to Mary. Now, Mary is not only a property coach, she's also been an abundance coach in the area of property. And it's not the first time that she's going to be presenting this information, and it's going to be just at a very high level today. But Mary has actually delivered courses, one-day courses, half-day courses. We've got some lovely music going in the background, and that's just the phone going off, but don't worry about that.
Not mine, it's not mine.
No, yeah. Is that yours, Mary?
No, I turned mine off.
All right, Rebecca's running around in circles here, can't find his Saturday night.
Handbag.
Mine doesn't make music. So Mary, please, what we want to do is welcome you, and as we say, you know, just at a high level, there's a lot of depth in this. Like we started with Rebecca in the first instance, we're just going to start at a high level and go through and open people's minds up to the abundance, or what's holding them back too. So Mary, I'm going to hand over to you now while I have my cuppa. Cheers.
Good on you. I've had mine. Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Lorna. Okay, hi everyone. So besides being an abundance coach and a property coach, I also want to add that I'm actually a property investor and developer. So I'm in the in the trenches, doing lots of deals. So I can offer a lot of support for the WOW ladies in terms of being on the ground and knowing what it's like when you're actually doing a project. There we go. Rebecca's picture is there. I think I'm going to put my slides up now. But yeah. So what I wanted to just do initially is just give you a little bit of an overview of some of the components I think that go into developing the right mindset, an abundant mindset when you're involved in property. So there's components which I call levels of thinking, growth mindset, having clarity of vision, having great habits, the way we establish routines and patterns in our daily work life and in our property projects is really important. Our investor type, so what kind of profile do we have in terms of our approach to investing, and then understanding our own risk profile. How do we manage risk in a project? The decisions that we make are based on our appetite for risk, and that actually can change over time as we become more and more confident. I'll go to the next slide. And each of these components, there's a lot of depth and a lot of detail that I train in these areas, but it just gives you a bit of a comprehensive overview of various components that go into your thinking and your behaviours and patterns and components of success. So I'll just go to the next slide. Okay. Next slide. No? Okay, brilliant. Oh, it's doing this little thing. So just in terms of, what does success look like in property? This is some data from the ABS. And just by going back to Lorna's point about, people that hold back and those people that in difficult times move ahead. What's interesting is there's only like less than 1% of people that have investors rather that have six or more properties. So it's a minority of people that have actually built a portfolio of properties. 72% stop at one property. That's always fascinated me. Why do people, they might have their own home and they buy an investment property, just one property, and then they just stop there. It's quite fascinating. What is that? Is there something, is fear holding them back, or Did they make a mistake, or do they think they've made a mistake? But for some reason, they're being held back from investing more. So yeah, I think it's just quite a useful bit of information that clearly the minority of investors have extended their wealth in property. Next slide, please. Okay, so one of the things that I think is really important to consider that you can't actually grow your wealth or grow abundance if your thinking and your beliefs don't actually support your vision. So your thoughts influence your behaviours, how you respond to situations, your strategies, and your habits. And I think we can all look at situations where we've maybe dismissed an opportunity because we've come up with an excuse. Maybe I don't have the skills, or this is too hard, or maybe the bank won't loan me money, I'm too old, or some people don't even start the journey into property investing because they think, oh, look, I've got plenty of time. They're young. She'll be right now. Or else, at the moment with the COVID, I've certainly seen the change in behaviours. A lot of buyers are holding tight, vendors are holding tight. When I've had conversations with real estate agents or tradies, and you say, how are things going? Are you okay? It's quite interesting to see people's responses. There's a lot of negativity. And yet then you come across people who are quite positive and buoyant, and they're very active and trying to make the best out of a situation. I really like this quote. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It's all within yourself and in the way you think. And I think it's a really important way of looking at things, that your life is very much influenced by how you see your situation and how you respond to issues and difficulties that come around you. I mean, no one is immune from situations that cause concern, and the reality too is our brain is a marvelous thing. We experience, in new situations, we experience fear. It's just part of how our brain is wired. And that fear is there to protect us. It's quite an amazing thing that it's there to look after us so we don't get eaten by the mammoths and the saber-toothed tigers. And that's still part, even though we're modern man, it's still in our brain. It's how we're hardwired. So we naturally go to, a secure place. But sometimes we have to step out of that in order to accomplish things, and we can't all live in a cave, and we've got to step out and experience the world in order to survive. And so this is where sometimes we can maybe stay too long in a secure space, and this is where I see this sort of almost two poles, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset, which we discussed last week, is where we put a lot of boundaries and we use excuses, for example, and that holds us back. Opportunities do come along when you're in property. The chance to maybe invest in another state. A lot of people will tend to sort of invest just in their own, literally in their own backyard. And don't and think that investing somewhere else is is going to be too risky. Others are quite happy to invest in other states or in other types of. They might start off with their principal place of residence, but they're quite then happy to look at other types of investment vehicles. So the two extremes, and I suppose we all vacillate between a fixed or a growth mindset. But I think if you start to exercise the abundance mindset, you start to move across from a fixed to a growth. And one way of looking at fixed and growth is the concept of being above the line or below the line. When you're above the line, you're prepared to tackle and address and even welcome risky problems. Below the line is where you're sitting in this area of safety and comfort. I think we've all heard the concept of being in your comfort zone. And sometimes, you know, we can live in that space for a long, long time. So in my situation, you know, I had a corporate career. I was safe in the security of regular paid work. I liked the fact there was a regular pay packet. I knew my job. But I just had this yearning to do something more. I mean, you know, there's some circumstances where, you know, the loss of my parents, you know, and seeing how they lived, you know, they just put all their wealth into one property, their principal place of residence. And I knew that they ended up being very cash poor. They had this huge asset, but they couldn't do a lot of things. They didn't travel much. They lived a very frugal life. And I always thought there was going to be, I wanted more in my life, you know, so I decided that I was going to take, you know, ownership of my life in terms of my investments and take accountability and responsibility and start to move above the line and take some more risks. And to that extent, I took a major risk 2 years ago. It wasn't a risk, it was a calculated risk. And that was actually to give up my corporate job and go into property development full time. You know, and I really did have to take responsibility for a major decision. And in making that decision, though, I decided that I needed a transition plan. I mean, I'm not suggesting to anyone that you should just, you know, quit the day job. I think a lot of people aspire to give up their job and do property investing as a career. And I mean, I'm doing it now and I love it. But moving to that for me was, you know, understanding my risk appetite, and I developed a 6-month transition plan so that I could ease myself out of the career and the regular pay packet, and establish my property business properly, so that it wasn't a hobby. And I suppose the other side of you know, this fixed and growth mindset is where you're, you know, operating below the line, and you know, you're operating in the mindset of excuses, denial, and blame. And I see this sometimes happening within property projects where, you know, things happen, things go wrong. You know, you buy a property, you've done, you know, your due diligence, and you know, things can go wrong. And I operate on the basis of, hey, we've got a problem or an issue to solve. How do we resolve that? How do we get the facts? How do we get the right people to solve the problem? And you know, blaming people doesn't help. It doesn't actually make the problem resolve itself any quicker. And again, this is, you know, if I look at this this particular slide, you know, again, I don't know whether any of these statements are familiar to any of you, but you know, I hear a lot of this when I coach people around property investing. Is, you know, you hear things like, you know, it's all too complicated. I need more information. So this is an excuse of, you know, where people fall into that analysis paralysis. I can't find a deal. I need more information. It's not working for me. I'm too old. You know, the growth mindset would say, look, I'm not too old. It's never too late. I'm very much inspired by older people, you know, in their 90s, and some amazing things that they're doing. You know, they just have this positive attitude and positive mindset, and nothing is a problem. You know, I don't know where to start. You know, there's lots and lots of excuses, and we have them from time to time. So, you know, I'd caution you to think about, you know, well, what are your excuses? Are you operating in the, you know, I can't, I don't know how, you know, this won't work, you know, that sort of negativity. So here's another way of looking at the sort of the fixed mindset and the growth mindset is, it's almost like a continuum. It's like, you know, you're in this comfort zone, you're feeling safe, you're in control. And then there's this fear zone that sometimes we operate in where, you know, we just lack the confidence. Sometimes it's because we don't have the information, you know, or we just haven't had the experience. You know, some of us, you know, haven't come from wealthy backgrounds. We haven't had, you know, parents that invest in money, invest in property. So we just don't know, you know, and so fear comes from that uncertainty. Again, we find excuses. We're also affected by other people's opinions. And then there's the learning zone. So So we start to move out of our comfort zone when we deal with challenges, when we acquire new skills. And I know that my confidence in property investing has really come from educating myself, extending my knowledge, surrounding myself with people who know more than me. Like I aspire to do what Lorna's doing, these multi-level, high-rise apartments, and I've sort of put a goal for myself that I'm going to do that one day. I'm about to turn 60 this year. I'm going to do that. I'm going to definitely do that within the next few years. It's just understanding, like, where are you now? Are you feeling safe in your comfort zone, or is it time now to step out of the fear zone and into the learning zone? And I suppose the point too is that your mindset is something that you need to nurture, and consider that there's always learning. I believe in lifelong learning. There's always something that you can learn from others, and obviously share your knowledge with other people. And that's what's so wonderful about this group. I've got lots of knowledge and experience, but in some areas, but I don't have it in others. But I'm happy to bring other people along in the journey, to broaden their minds, broaden their experience, and to grow, so they can move out of their comfort zone and into the growth and learning zone. So I've just got a couple of ideas that I've come up with. I've done a little bit of research around how you get out of your comfort zone. So getting information is power. The more you know about something, the less scary it is. But I also make a point here is that sometimes we can fall into the trap of information overload or overwhelm, or analysis paralysis. So it's important to get to a point where you've done sufficient research that you can actually make a decision. Too much information can be a bad thing, but enough to get you through, enough to, when you're interacting with maybe consultants like your town planner or surveyor or builder, that you've got enough knowledge that you can ask the right questions. But don't necessarily have to be an expert in everything. Seeing mistakes as feedback. I think it's really important that you don't take don't take mistakes personally. Like, you really need to, depersonalize the situation when, hey, maybe I made the wrong, maybe there was a mistake. I didn't do something that I thought I was going to do, or I made an error. These are all lessons to add to your knowledge bank. And I think everyone who's actively involved in property development, property investing, will have stories about having made mistakes, but that, every mistake, you learn something, and it is definitely part of your knowledge vault. Setting small challenges. So moving into the learning zone, or the growth zone, can be a bit scary, but having small challenges, setting yourself, a small stretch goal, to do something different or something slightly better, or is a way to stop the brain being overwhelmed and getting scared. Just small incremental steps is really, really important. Creating new habits. Just behind me, I've got a habit tracker. I've decided that I'm going to, month by month, over sort of a 4-week cycle, introduce new habits. So having a visual habit tracker is a really, really powerful tool to create new patterns, new sequences, new behaviours. But I really like the idea of just setting small habits and measuring progress. So for me, one of the things I'm looking to do is do some meditation. I don't really do meditation. I do self-reflection, but I don't do meditation. And I know that when I have gone on a retreat, and I've had time to just chill out and do meditation, I find that I still my brain, which is, going constantly with lots of thoughts, my to-do list in my head going, crazy. I went, no, just a bit of time to breathe, slow down, and just relax my brain is a really good thing. So that's actually going to be one of my items on my tracker, is to just do some daily meditation and just really improve my morning routine, so I can be clearing my head, more focused. rethinking decisions. A lot of people beat themselves up about decisions that they've made. They put this meaning of good or bad about decisions. And I sort of think it's perhaps sort of counterintuitive to actually do that. You know, don't put labels on your decisions. Your decisions are your decisions. You know, you've made them because of the information you had. You've made them because of the circumstances, but they're a decision that you made at a point in time. There's no point regretting them. You need to move forward. And the beauty of if you sort of shift your mindset around, you know, labeling a decision good or bad, is that you can always make a new decision. So just see decisions as you know, a statement that you've made, you know, an outcome that you've worked towards. And if it's not if the outcome isn't what you expected, or you need to pivot and make a change, just, it's a new decision, you know, and move forward. Be curious. So moving out of your comfort zone it's really important to think, okay, well, you know, what's out there? You know, what are the options? Who's done something, you know, like what you might aspire to? Be an experimenter, you know, seek answers. And I certainly know that when I started looking at more complex property investments, you know, like for example, I had no idea how to do subdivisions, but I saw that other people were doing, and I thought, look, I want a piece of that. So I did my research. I experimented. I started off with a small splitter block. You know, I thought, well, I'm not going to do, you know, a major subdivision. I was quite happy to start off small, and see how that worked. And I started to build that body of knowledge. So, you know, taking incremental steps, being inquisitive, being curious is a way to build your knowledge and move from comfort zone and fear zone into that growth and learning zone. So mindset is only the start of success in property, but to me it's one of the foundations, and I talk a lot about that in my property mindset program. It's one of the most fundamental things, that having the right mindset, you know, is an important foundation, and it's something that you need to constantly nurture and be aware of. It doesn't just stop, you know, with your first successful project. It's really a lifelong commitment, and basically an investment in yourself. So like Lorna, I've invested quite a lot in personal development, and I don't think anyone ever perfects this. You've got to constantly, you know, nurture yourself, nurture that brain, understand how it works. And for example, I've really begun to love neuroscience, the whole concept of neuroscience. Years ago, my first degree was actually in psychology, and I wish they taught neuroscience when I was doing my psychology degree, you know, like just the way the human mind operates, and the fact too that it's malleable, and you can change it. You know, that neuroplasticity is incredible. So yeah, exercising the brain, working that muscle for success is the way to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. There was so much in there.
I know, there's so much.
I wanted to jump in and go, yes. And example after example after example, especially when you talk about mistakes. You know, like I think this is this fallacy that, you know, we haven't made mistakes. Well, let me tell you, no one's made more mistakes than me. I've got the home run on that one. But that's
they make great stories, don't they?
Oh, great stories. But that's how I learned. You know, the first few were embarrassing. It's like I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want anyone to see. Now it's like I own them. You know, but that's how I've learned. Yeah. And so we've got to break down that barrier for everyone. Like, just, you know, if you're going to do anything in property, investing and developing, you have to break down the barrier, that fear of making mistakes. So, Mary, that was just one of the things I picked out of there, and you're such a wonderful joy to have as part of our community, and offer to come on as one of our coaches that people can tap into should they need, you know, your services and the help of the others. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, cool. Now we're going to bring our resident guru on with Rebecca Ramsay, and a lot of you have already met Rebecca, and some of you are actually working with her now. That's very exciting, so that's cool too. So Rebecca, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Cool, thank you. Hello, ladies. Lovely to see you, or be with you again today. Lorna's left me to it. You can find another chair.
No, I will.
Awesome. And yeah, I really enjoyed that, Mary. Thank you so much. I particularly love the habit tracker because that sounds kind of fun and nice and easy and supportive as opposed to a to-do list. So yeah, I'm going to take that one on. Thank you very much. So just a couple of points to add to that. And I said to Lorna after last week's session, I was like, oh, there were some things that came to mind I wanted to share. And this is one of the quotes that I constantly reminded of: whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And so, you know, when it comes to that abundant mindset, you know, whether if you're thinking to, you know, as Mary explained, in fixed mindset of, I can't do that, I don't know the answer to that, I don't have that experience, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough, then you're right. And if you think, I might be able to do that, perhaps I could learn something here, I wonder who could help me, you're also right. So whether you think you can or you think you can, you are right. So a great one to live by, because our abundant mindset obviously starts internally, but what gets activated and what shifts and changes it is actually what we do with that as well. So there's a self-talk that's going on constantly, and there's this cycle of activity, right? So what we accept as the truth about ourselves is a story that we tell ourselves. It's the information that we're talking internally, and that impacts how then we behave, and then of course that impacts how everybody else experiences us. So once we start to look at that cycle, we realize just how important that self-talk is. Because if I choose to believe in my story as, I don't know how to do this, I don't have all the information, I don't have the experience, who am I to be okay with this, then that will impact the behaviour, which will inevitably be not doing much of anything, which will tell everybody around me that I don't do anything in this space. Okay, but if I'm curious, and that's one of my favourite words, Mary, and my self-talk even, and I wonder what it would take for me to do that, I wonder who could help me, I wonder what I'd need to know, I wonder what I'd need to do, then that's going to impact the next behaviour I take. I'll start researching, I'll call someone, I'll talk to someone, I'll ask a question. And then I've created an entirely different self-image in the eyes of others, but also myself. So that's just a quick run through, and that self-talk cycle, but it's super powerful and testament to what Mary was saying about that fixed and growth mindset. It starts here, but that's not where it ends, okay? So it's permeating no matter what you choose. So choose the right stuff. So just some quick examples of that, and we've been talking through them already. You know, oh, this is too hard. You can come and look, Lorna. This is too hard, I give up, versus this is tough, but so am I. I love that one. That makes me think of Lorna. You know, what's the point? There's nothing I can do about it. Well, I might not be able to control this, but I can control myself and how I respond. So just think there's always another way to have perspective on something, and we've covered perspective a little bit in other sessions. So yeah, really think about how you can shift that. And I talk to everyone I work with, you know, has got a story, because we've all got a story. It's just which one we're choosing to tell. So little activity to think about in your own mind there, you know, and these are some scenarios that come up. So I'm meeting someone new, you know, a negative self-talk is they won't like me. Okay, is that an abundant mindset? No, it's not. A positive self-talk could be, this might be someone that I connect with. It might be, we don't know. Be curious. And again, that's such an important aspect to have, because the moment we decide one way or the other, well, we're right. So, you know, when trying something new seems hard, I can't do it, versus I wonder what it would take. I wonder how I can do this. Adding yet to the end of something. I can't do this yet always is a great way to lend itself to more abundant thinking than limited thinking. So yeah, be careful how you're talking to yourself, because you are listening. The rest of you is listening. The behavior part of you is listening. Yeah, the perspective of you from others is listening. You write the story that you and others read about you. And in terms of our mindset, just being really clear that it doesn't stop at the mind. It then gets permeated into all of the other things and activities we do and behaviors we have. It's really vital that we get that spot on. So that was just my add-on to Mary's fabulous content today, and I look forward to sharing more with you guys. And back on to Lorna.
Okay. That was fantastic. Thank you for elaborating on that. That's, and I think this is the beauty of it. You know, we do all have a story. And it's how we perceive that story. I know I hid behind, you know, the stories of my childhood for a long time because of, you know, when you grow up in a little old rundown house, no running water, no power, and you go to school and you get bullied because you've got a basin haircut and gumboots on and banana sandwiches that are going brown by lunchtime, you know, it's not the best story to talk about, but now it's my story and I own it because who ever dreamed I would be where I am now, living on the Sunshine Coast in paradise, surrounded by amazing people doing some amazing projects. And remembering too, we all start out small. So if you haven't taken your first step, don't think I started up here, because I didn't. You know, I was 18, bought my first block of land for a whole $4,000. Yeah, that's how old I am.
Yeah,
I'm that old. So, you know, it's just taking that first step. It's really, and that's why we're here, because, you know, I would have loved to have this sort of support when I was starting out. I was, you know, married and 4 children and studying architecture, and, you know, it was fearful because I was in a male-dominated world, and, you know, we weren't respected in that field. Things have changed now, which is wonderful. There's still challenges though, you know. So when we start out, don't think for the big step. Have the vision in mind, have the end goal in mind, but not too far out either, because that can be a bit daunting. Like Mary's talking about, one day she wants to do a high rise. Well, I'll tell you now, I did not have that in my vision 5 years ago. You know, 5 years ago, I just got through the GFC and it was all about surviving. So things change. So don't lock yourself into something that's, you know, difficult, but just have an openness about you. I think that's what I've learned, and a versatility.
And it's not about being unrealistic, and I think that's where people get scared off by the thought of abundance. It's not about, yes, striving for something so far beyond, but it's being open to the opportunity for more.
Absolutely. And you know, the first thing I started doing was changing my mindset by going, I am willing to receive. I am willing to receive. I had to say that 1,000 times a day, because I had this scarcity mentality because of my background, right? I thought I had to fight hard for everything, and I had to work really hard, right? Raising children, going to a university, and I had 2 businesses going on the side, you know. So it was like, you don't have to work that hard. It is here. It is what you're connecting to as well. I'm a great believer in the power that's greater than us, that's here to support us through all this. So whatever that means for you, tap into it. You know, I can give you a whole range of books and videos and things that I listen to and I've read, and it's continual growth, as Mary said. You know, you can't do this in one step. But what I want you to know in finishing is that we're here to support you. You know, it can be daunting, but with people around you, like-minded people, which is a big thing. There wasn't the like-minded women there years ago when I was starting out. I had to go and search just to get some, you know, I guess, knowledge and education. And I can, you know, go back to the days when there's people you wouldn't have even heard of teaching this sort of stuff, but there wasn't a support network. And that's what we're about. We're here. There's a lot of skills amongst us women, amazing skills. So this network is really about supporting each other. If you've got some skills, put your hand up. We'd love to hear about them. But when we're going forward now, you've actually got other support. So we're bringing on coaches if you would like those coaches to walk beside you. So it's a do it with you service. It's a service that, you know, obviously as a member, you can tap into these ladies. You make your own arrangement with these ladies. We've got an announcement happening next Monday with other coaches coming on, 2 other property coaches and an interior designer coach as well. So there's so many areas that you'll be able to be helped with. I know a lot of you are saying, I can't even find the site. Well, one of those ladies, that's her skill set. She's a site finder. So again, stay tuned. Do we have any questions from there?
Let's have a look.
We'll just have a quick look, see if we had any questions.
I'm willing to receive. Yes, thanks.
I'm willing to receive. Yeah.
Yeah, and like just loving the quotes from today's session.
Oh, good. Yeah. So no real questions there. If you do, just please feel free to email me too. If you need any more information, you can either email myself, Lorna, at wellpropertywomen.com.au, or you can email Lizzie, who's admin@wellpropertywomen.com.au, and we'll also put up Mary and Rebecca's links onto the Facebook. So if you haven't joined us on Facebook, please do. We're here to support you. We hope you support each other, and we're all looking forward to when we can get back and give real hugs instead of virtual hugs. So for now, ladies, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Friday.